Hey there, my name is Shannon Post, and thank you for listening in on this audio. I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day to take a listen. In this clip, you'll hear an interview with me without the other side of the audio. So you'll just hear me answering questions. But it's a nice intro, and I think it's some good information for people who are new to me and new to my work. So let's get started. When I was about 29, my late 20s, 27, 28, 29, I was a professional singer, professional classical singer in New York City. And while I was doing fine and I was making fine money and I had a fine apartment and I had great friends, and by all external standards, I was doing what I was supposed to be doing. I was as successful as I needed to be, and I was on the path to doing more. Internally, I felt really frustrated. I was confused because I was really good at my job, but I also didn't want to be doing that job, even though everybody thought it was fancy and great and wonderful. I didn't want to be a professional singer. I had wanted more. And in all truth, I had this feeling, even when I was in college studying for my degree. I wasn't always, but I was looking to get out of music because I wanted more. I thought there was more. I wanted it to have more depth, more something else. But I really couldn't put my finger on it. I thought I would go into medical, but I'm not wired for that. I was really searching and I was really struggling and I couldn't figure it out. So I just got my degree and I just moved to New York and I just got jobs and I ended up singing for the New York Philharmonic, which you think, that's great. Like, clearly you're fine, and I was fine. It was a fine living, but I didn't like it. I wasn't satisfied. And I could numb it out. I could not think about it. I could just get busy. I could go drinking with my friends. I could ignore it. I could go shopping. I could exercise a lot, but the feeling never really went away for me. And when I was about 29 or 30, I started really paying attention to that feeling. And I decided that I was going to start following my heart instead of my logic. And that was a really good choice. It in retrospect, wasn't the full choice. I wish I had had some guidance back then, or had different guidance back then. But my heart had really always lied in the wilderness and Alaska and mountains and nature and animals. I was obsessed with sled dogs and running dogs in Alaska. And so when I was 29, I quit all my jobs. And I had been working, as a singer. I had also started working in tech because I really liked technology. I was working down on Wall Street, and I was working on a help desk, and I loved it. But when I was 29, I was like, you know what? I'm done. I'm so done with the city. I was frustrated. All I could remember is being overwhelmed and frustrated and stuck. And I was tired of being stuck. And so I was just going to do something else, anything else. And so I quit all my jobs. I knew that wasn't making me happy. And I really wanted to move to Alaska. So I did. And I did kind of without a plan and not a lot of detail. I had a job. And that was it. And they fed and had housing. So that's I always just make sure I have some money and a house and a job. But so I moved from New York City, and overnight, slept in New York City one night and slept in Alaska the next night. And the next night I was working on a glacier. I was working in logistics in a dog sled company. And I just thought it was the best thing ever. And I remember that feeling of freedom, of finally getting on my path. And while that wasn't the final fruition of my path, it was really an important step for me to start doing what I wanted. that was, and I think if I could give any advice, like that's one of the best first steps. And you don't have to quit your job and move across the country, but starting to do what you want to do, starting to figure out what you want to do is really the first step into finding the full fruition of what you're really designed to do, what you were born to do. I believe each one of us is born with a natural talent on purpose. And I think it's by design, whether it's, by science or God, I don't know. But I do think it's that each one of us has something unique to bring. And if we're not in that sweet spot of what our natural talents and everything that we're about is, I think that we're frustrated. And I think until we find that natural fit in life, that we'll forever be searching. And so that it's really what inspired me to start creating a framework. I'm not much for super formal, like step by step, you have to do it my way. But I also know it's helpful to have some kind of guide for your brain to follow so that you don't just get distracted. And I think that was in my 20s, I probably could have gotten there faster if I'd had some kind of framework and mentorship to help me through it. But it was so big and so overwhelming and so scary that I would just let myself get distracted away from it. And I hope that the structures and the frameworks that I'm creating and the communities that I'm creating help people get there faster. Like you might get there on your own, and a lot of people do. My hope is to help people get there faster, because I also believe that in that natural DNA and that natural talent, that there's a leadership aspect in it. I believe very strongly that we are all leaders. And I just know from experience that people that like my work tend to be disruptive leaders. They tend to be bucking the system, bringing something new into the world. There's a definite creative aspect to it. There's a definite artist standpoint to it of creating something that's never been done before. And it's often why you can't see the path that you're supposed to be on, because you're actually creating something that's never been done before. So there is no blueprint. There is no step-by-step guide. There probably is not a degree. There's probably maybe not one training system. You might even have trouble making yourself a title or a bio or the elevator speech or the pitch or all the things that make you very easy to understand. Probably that doesn't align with you, because if what I'm saying resonates with you, you're likely a disruptive leader. And so if you're not in that position, it can create a lot of frustration. And it might be why you're feeling so stuck and so frustrated, because at your heart, you're meant to create something new in the world that changes the world somehow. And it doesn't have to be Greta Thunberg. You don't have to be Mother Teresa to change the world. Every new creation and thing that's done, I believe, changes the world in a good way. So yeah, that's really why I created that. I'm creating the structures that I'm creating. I've done it one-on-one for many years, or for about 5 years now. And, the same trends keep coming up, and, they were the same trends that came up with me. And I'm not saying I have all the answers or that I have the way, but I know it's a way, and I know it's helped a lot of people gain clarity on what they're supposed to be doing, especially if they're doing something that their path is something alternative, something non-traditional, something that hasn't been done before. That I'm a really good person to help shepherd and mentor that process. yeah, the process can be a little long and a little circuitous. It's definitely, I've never known a client to just step by step have it figured out, because that's not really who we are. But I know one of the first steps, so the first framework I built is a masterclass series called Discover What You're Born to Do. And it really helps sort out what your natural strengths are, your natural preferences, like how you came into this world, what you were born with, or you were born doing, your skills. There's a way to figure that out. That's very very simple. It's not as hard as it sounds. And the skill that I have to help people with is, once I know, and there's kind of 4 aspects of this, once I know these 4 aspects and I know you a little better, it's easy for me to see the possibilities because of some of my hardwired DNA. I'm able to see the future and possible versions of the future for people. Not in a psychic way, not like that. It's just how my brain is designed to see and imagine possibilities, and that information for people can be really helpful for pruning a general direction, and then from there they often get kind of the hit. They can sort of like a bloodhound, like once they get the scent, then they're off it and they're kind of off and running. I can help people kind of get to that general path where they pick up the scent and they can start seeing it unfold. And I'd really say that I'm more of a shepherd, a guide, a herder. I think if I was a dog, I'd probably be a border collie or an Australian shepherd. I have a lot of energy, but I tend to herd things into where they need to go in life in general. And I really can help people do that as well in a kind of a soft and gentle, comforting way, not in a you suck, you're not fulfilling your life's purpose. I don't like that vibe. I think we all have one, and I think we'll all get there, and I can just help accelerate that process a bit and give a community and a sense of belonging to someone that might feel like an outsider where they are. Oftentimes my clients will say that they feel like they're the only one, they're the black sheep in the family, they feel like the outsider, they're a loner, and often that's just because they're in a group. We're socialized and trained to be one way in a very traditional school setting, which is really good for certain types of people and really bad for others. And the second group, that the traditional way doesn't work, it's really easy to feel like you're weird or broken or different or funky some way that you're really not. You're just a different type of person. You're a creative. You're bringing something new into the world. There's something inside of you that needs to get out in a positive way, not in a bad way, in a very positive way, that the traditional structures aren't there to, that's not what they're there for. And the traditional structures, we certainly need them because we need to keep the society on the rails. We need to eat, we need to breathe air, we need clean water, we need all those things. And the people that are really designed for that, thank God they're there. But I think it's really helpful when clients realize that's not the only way to be, and that's not the only type of person we need. We also need the people who are out on the leading edge, who are creating the new things that then eventually will be stabilized. But you also have to have that creative aspect. And I guess it's really where my heart is, to foster and shepherd that creative energy, that creative spirit that brings new things into the world. And when I say creative, I don't mean necessary. It also includes artists, musicians, dancers, painters, artists, architects, things like that. But it also includes engineers and IT people and accountants. It's just a different kind of creativity in my mind. That everybody's creative. It's just how do you create, and what do you what your preferred role is. Do you love making something from nothing? If you do, like, then you're my people. If you like taking something that already exists and making it better, like, that's also really important. But I would say, like, the something from nothing people, those are my people. And it's a really different way of living and working and thinking and being, that I think needs a special support. So yeah, those are my people. Yeah, and I would invite anybody that this feels resonant for. If this is you, like, I would love you to come and be part of my world, whether that's just reading what I have to say and feeling supported by that, or joining us in master classes or coachings, or however that works and looks for you. I just want to make sure that you have a space where you feel supported, and so that you can accelerate your you finding your path, you finding what you were born to do, why you're here. Because when you make the shift from feeling like you're working a dead-end job with no purpose, to feeling like you are doing what you're meant to do, things are easy, it gives you energy, you're excited to get up when things get hard, because they do. We all have hard days. There's actually something kind of natural that pulls you through it, where you're not trying to motivate yourself every day. It's just there. It's pulling you. You're not pushing it. And it's a very different life. It changes your whole life once you get kind of this aspect figured out. It benefits your family, your relationships, your health, and everything else when you get this sorted out. So I think it's really important. And I would just invite anybody who feels resonant with this to contact me, and we'll figure out where you fit in the structure. So structure is such a funny word for me to say, where you fit in your world. So yeah, thank you. Thanks. So thank you for listening. Again, I really appreciate you taking the time. And if anything in this interview resonated with you and you'd like to get in touch, the best way to find me is on the web at www.shannonlpost.com. I'm also all over social media at ShannonLPostAK. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Reddit, TikTok, YouTube, you name it, I'm probably there. And if I'm not on your favorite channel, let me know, and I probably will be. I want to make sure to support you wherever you are. Thanks again for listening.